Arctic Wolf.
I'm Polar Bear.
And I'm Snowy Owl. Come learn with us.
Hey kids! Welcome to the Arctic Tundra, also known as the ice desert or the frozen prairie. At the high latitude we live, winds are as fast as cars. The temperature is usually negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 34 degrees Celsius. It's cold here, but there are still a lot of animals that come out and play.
There are 3 different types of tundras. The alpine tundra has heavy winds located in high mountains such as the Himalayas, but because it's so high, not many animals live there.
The second type of tundra is the Arctic tundra, which is located in places like Russia, Scandinavia, and Alaska. This area has the most biodiversity, as many species are found here. It also has strong winds between 30 to 60 miles per hour. The Scandinavian tundra is the warmest, with temperatures averaging 18 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 7.7 degrees Celsius.
Finally, there's the Antarctic tundra, which is located in Antarctica and the South Pole. This is the coldest and driest of them all.
Biotic factors are the living components of an ecosystem. We're going to learn all about the types of plants and animals that live in the Arctic tundra.
Because the tundra is so cold, animals such as foxes, lemmings, and me, a polar bear, have thick fur and small ears to reduce heat loss. However, we have low biodiversity, with only around 900 species.
Although the tundra has poor soil quality, plants are still able to grow here, such as polar grass, Arctic moss, and white dryad.
At the bottom of the food chain, or the first trophic level, is what's called the producers. They are plants that are able to produce their own food from the sun, such as liverworts, grasses, caribou moss, and lichens.
At the second trophic levels are the primary consumers. These animals eat plants or producers. For example, caribous, musk oxes, lemmings, and hares are all primary consumers.
At the third trophic level are the secondary consumers, such as the Arctic fox or brown bear, and they eat the primary consumers.
When all of these animals die, they're consumed by the decomposers. They are both plants and animals who live in the soil and decompose organic material. But because it's so cold, the decomposition process takes a lot longer.
Energy is really cool. Every person in the world uses energy every day, even you. You use energy to dance and play and think. Do you know how we all get our energy? That's right, through food! The carbon cycle here in the Arctic tundra goes a little something like this.
Like all other places, our carbon energy system starts with the sun. There aren't very many plants here because of the bad soil, but the plants that we do have are called Arctic shrubbery. They use the sun to make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Then, animals known as primary consumers eat those plants for their food and to get energy, like the Arctic hare.
Exactly. Next comes secondary consumers, and those are animals like me. We eat the primary consumers to get our energy. Carbon is then released through us back into the atmosphere through cellular respiration, which is just another way of saying how food turns into energy.
This cycle goes on forever and ever, and it helps to keep your friends in the Arctic tundra happy and healthy.
Nitrogen is another energy cycle that happens here in the Arctic tundra. Yes, snow is made of frozen rain, but snow is also mostly made up of nitrogen.
The nature helps plants be able to use the nitrogen for food and energy by changing it into different forms. Just like the carbon cycle, nitrogen is given back to the sky after it's used by the plants, and the cycle just keeps going and going.
Permafrost is a thick layer below the surface of the soil that remains frozen all year long. Besides it, our water cycle in the Arctic tundra is just like yours. It starts with condensation in the clouds and continues with precipitation that falls from the sky. Some of the precipitation, like rain and snow, turn into permafrost.
The rest of that precipitation falls into the ocean, rivers, and lakes. Water evaporates from there and enters the atmosphere once again.
Do you think we get a lot of rain and snow here in the Arctic tundra? That's right. We get very little snow and rain. In fact, we actually only get about 10 inches a year. Great job, friends.
Phosphorus is in rocks, like these. When it rains, the rocks break down. These broken down rocks either spill into the ocean or make their way into soil and plants.
Do you remember what primary consumers and secondary consumers are? That's right! Wow, you're a smart kid! The primary consumer eats the plants and the secondary consumer eats the primary consumer. This keeps the food chain moving steadily along.
If in the ocean, the runoff forms new layers of rock. Organisms known as decomposers eat this to gain their energy. They also consume the phosphorus held in the bodies of dead consumers for energy.
Decomposers put phosphorus back into the atmosphere, and that is what causes the phosphorus cycle to keep going here in the Arctic.
Well, there you have it, kids. All you need to know about the Arctic tundra biome.
We hope to see you guys soon.
Until next time,
Bye!
bye.